Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for spending your valuable time with the Adapt 2030 channel. Yesterday's video, Britain becoming a country that cannot feed itself. Now we find Amsterdam, huge lines waiting for food. All the while, EU calling for curbing grain imports from Ukraine, too much flooding the markets. Traffic app tracking Dutch leaving for holidays. Reverting back in time, 1883 Orient Express. BlackRock, get ready for a recession unlike any other. What worked in the past won't work now, except for gold. Maybe that's why central banks are buying so much. Look at hyperinflation in history as we see the movement to central bank digital currencies. U.S. official digital rupee accepted here. Still hiding the non-U.S. banks, 40 trillion hidden liabilities. Ouch. And as we look to 2023, well, the narrative's given past the BS sniff test. In the previous video, talking about Britain becoming a country that cannot feed itself. Urgent solutions must be found. Food supply crisis ongoing, and that's according to the National Farmers Union. That's one point of data on the map, and then we swing over to Amsterdam. Some people standing in line for more than 2 hours to get a bag of groceries. Something's gone awry in the EU economy. And here's the baffling thing. The EU is talking about, on Politico article here, to curb grain imports from Ukraine because there's too much coming in. They're swamped, a tidal wave of grains. They can't exit through the Black Sea corridor, so they're sending it over land borders, and ouch. There's simply too much goods coming in. Yet the people in Amsterdam are lining up for food. Those in the UK are having supply chain difficulties bringing food in. I don't see where the disconnect is, unless it's a purposeful disconnect. Which would make sense when you see headlines, BlackRock says get ready for a recession unlike any other. And what worked in the past will not work now. And I say the past is a very long time. If we look through history, monetary history, the precious metals have always worked 4,000 plus years. I don't know why they won't work this time. Oh, you're talking about modern monetary theory. Okay, I get it. So you'll see why central banks are running to buy record amounts of gold, 399 tons in just the third quarter of Q2. I thought it was an old clunky metal. Weren't we recommended not to buy that to invest in the stock market? My bad, I forgot. I'm going old school bullion boom. And this chart will match up and showing you 400 tons, right close to the 399 tons. It's off the World Gold Council's records here. And something of note, 2008 is where the chart begins, and it shows you up to 2022, almost 23 now. Let's pull you back a little further in time to 1974. You can see how central banks dropped off on their ownership purchasing, but 2008, and you're going to watch that green line screaming northward again. It may level for a second, but as we get into contagion, it will increase. Deutsche Bank, Citi, and Morgan Stanley are all forecasting another 25% plunge in the stock market. The only break in inflation is with a recession. Rich Dad, Poor Dad author Robert Kiyosaki said, I believe the economy is in the biggest bubble in history. Kiyosaki bought more gold, predicting $3,000 an ounce in a year. Call the Patriot Gold Group today before it's too late. Patriot Gold Group has the No Fee for Life IRA, where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold, and you may qualify for the No Fee for Life IRA. On qualifying rollovers, give them a call, 888-546-7020. Tell them Adapt 2030 sent you. And now on with the video. Looking at the Chinese reports of gold reserves, bringing in much more. Look at the jump, number of troy ounces. It bumped up and then it ran its course, leveled off right around 2019-ish, but what's that little bump right there above 60 million ounces? They're consolidating more. What is it that the word on the street for all the central banks is get gold? Are they going to start a new currency after this current one hyperinflates away across the planet? The dollar no longer reserve currency. They're going to have to replace it, put some faith behind it. Yes, I would believe gold, silver, as a backing of a new currency. Always should have been, was in the United States. That was removed. We're in fractional reserving now. They're going to have to rewind the clock and bring us back into stable money again to restart the financial system of the planet. In case in point here, Egyptian pound dropping from the beginning of 2022 down to, what do we see now? From 0.06 to below 0.04. And the Gada Dispatch picking this up here, gold buying mania in Egypt as national currency loses value. So it seems that even in the most ancient of cultures on our planet, they understand gold holds value. That paper stuff can move next to the gold or silver. And if we do look at movements, stock market is tracking, and this is the S&P, tracking 2008 collapse, which was also tracking very closely to the all-time financial wipeout in the 1920s. Right back to that BlackRock article again. And jumping over to national debt here, which is the catalyst of it all. It has to be reset here. Bank for International Settlements warning non-bank financial firms hold 80 trillion hidden in the off-bank balance sheets. That's just straight up hyperinflation there. So let's break it down a little bit further. Banks ranked by derivatives and see if any of these are in your local nation, because if they are and they collapse, JP Morgan Chase, 57 trillion. That's more than national economies. The Goldman Sachs, 49 trillion, almost 50. And you can read your way down the list here. Even UBS Bank in the United States, I'm sure their international exposure is also close or higher than this, 71 trillion. So when you add all of these up, we're nearly into the quadrillions of dollars globally. There's not even that much money on the planet. So when it comes unwound, owning a stack like this, although this is not mine, I wish it were. That's a nice stack right there. Will make you the new wealth class. Just saying, not financial advice, just 4,000 plus years of history. And that's where it gets so interesting in cycles, whether it be cycles in the sun or cycles of monetary ups and downs, the ebb and flow of population on the planet. We can see again cycles. It's going to revert back to using something with sound value to reset the full system. That's inbound. I really believe 2023 is going to be where we see it. Now, 2022 has been the building of the foundation to set the new system. You know, I thought for sure by this point we would have had some sort of collapse/contagion, but when you look back, $13.5 trillion has been slow dripped out of the market. See, that's a misnomer. Everybody, including myself, was looking for one large event that would catalyze everything, and then off to the races we'd go. That would be the event to set in motion everything else. This time it's a little different. You know, looking back in hindsight in 2022, what we've seen is an enormous amount of small events leading up to that extraction. $13.5 trillion in the U.S. alone. Bye-bye. It's been slow drip fed. Under the radar-ish, people have noticed it, but it's not been that giant event. So will 2023 be the giant event everybody's looking for? Not sure. Or will they continue with this slow drip out until every single drop of wealth has been milked? And just a quick FYI here, COMEX and LBMA silver, just the individual investor buying 1 or 2 ounces is just starting to drain the system. Now, when more larger investors come in and say, well, you know, silver's probably a good idea, then what happens when they run out is the question. That's truly the question. I don't have the answer, but what happens when that goes to zero and what's being mined in the ground can't fill the demand? And this is an interesting chart here. Trading Economics put this one out. This is 2022, the top 10 highest inflation rates across the planet. Does your country lie within this list here? So Suriname taking the last position, number 10, 41%, and we draw our line forward here into the rates increasing. Turkey hitting the news there for a while, 85%. That's at 100% now. And we look at Argentina, which is above 100% now, with Sudan above 100%. And these numbers have increased since this chart has come out. Then we got Syria, we got Venezuela at 156, but who takes the top position once again for the global leader for like how many decades, years in a row? Zimbabwe. Now you got to think about that for a second. Zimbabwe had all the problems where you saw those $100 trillion notes, and then it was reset again, reset again, reset again. They started to back their currency by gold, issuing gold bonds And it's brought their inflation rate down to 269% from something like 100,000%. And perhaps the next year or two, they can get it back down under 100%. And looking back in the past, for those of you fans of luxury travel, the interior of the Orient Express, 1883, does make you wonder what it would have been like yesteryear in terms of travel. And speaking of travel, this is a real interesting map here. This shows the Dutch people leaving on a holiday. Every single blue dot is somebody that's using the traffic app that allowed location to be generated in order to use the app. Look at that, so easy. I could find any dot on the map if I chose to, which comes right in with the central bank digital currencies, digital rupee, accepted here. Anonymity in doubt, few takers of the e-rupee until they pull physical cash. Oh wait, they already started to do that. The 500 and 1,000 note have disappeared across India. That was old news from last year. And now we have the US who said we're not going to do a central bank digital currency, officially stating they're doing a central bank digital currency. And notice the byline there, also joining colleagues in the European Central Bank, meaning all of the EU and Japan and the Bank of England, all making the leap forward. Oh wait, they just started today? Oh no, they started this back 2016 in the sandbox. So get ready, they're going to pull physical cash. Which means for a short time, as things collapse around us in our societies and civilization, if we form our communities, we'll move through this. And as we look at the world ahead, 2023, what does The Economist magazine show us? More of the same, some new, some drops, some increases, and at that 9 o'clock position, something with satellites measuring the sun. Wonder what that'll be. And if we look at that as months around the clock too, that should be something in September of 2023. What kind of realization will come out then about the sun? Gee, let's guess. Taking a look here, Federal Reserve, consumer credit outstanding, usage of credit cards, that's the blue line heading up. Personal savings, that's dropping off a cliff. And I said, I have seen this same exact profile somewhere. Canceling magnetic waves in the sun. So interesting that 2023 pops up on The Economist magazine when this is in play, moving with canceling magnetic fields on our sun. And if you overlay these two the best I could to get the times to sync up, where there's a widening in magnetic fields on the sun, also there is different economic activity, whichever way you look at it. The spread's widening. What's going to happen as we move through wave 2, 2025 forward? Some of us will choose to just hunker down. Some of you would choose to do the sniff test and notice something different that doesn't jive with what you've been told, because it's going to be your choice, sleepwalking through it or taking action. And speaking of taking action, 3-month emergency food supply, Adapt 2030 and My Patriot supply, 25-year shelf life. Keep your families safe, knowing you don't have to wander into the chaos to feed yourselves. And join us every Thursday night, 10 p.m. to midnight. Ransom Godwin with myself, Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, and we stream on 8 different platforms. I do thank you for watching. Hope you got something out of the video, and I'll see you next time.